Welcome to the Burnout to Lit Up podcast. I'm your host, Erica Del Pozo, occupational therapist, Miami girl, and founder and CEO of Joy Energy Time, where it's our mission to build a better healthcare industry by ending healthcare provider burnout. In these episodes, we'll discuss topics like stress management, personal and occupational well-being, energy, lifestyle, and more. You'll also hear from loads of healthcare professionals like you who provide us with their advice on burnout prevention and share ways that you can become your most lit up self. Ready to get started? Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to the Burnout to Lit Up podcast. It's me, Erica, and I just want to take a quick second to thank you for tuning in. Whether you're brand new or you've been listening for a while, thank you so much. It means the world to me that people are listening, that my voice isn't just going into outer space, into the unknown where aliens are picking up my frequency. Like, people on this planet are listening, and I can tell, I can see the analytics, the numbers are growing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. What means a lot is when you share blurbs from the show or a screenshot that you're listening or anything like that. Like when people share those little things on their Insta stories and they tag me and I see it in my DM, I'm so grateful. That's free advertising right there. You know, I'm so grateful. That's how shows grow. That's how things grow, is when you share it with your friends and your audience. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate every little share. It, like, you know, I'm not doing this just to hear my own voice. I'm doing this to make an impact in this world and sharing knowledge and research and interviewing people and learning and growing and all this cool stuff. I love podcasting. Wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love it. I would have never thought in a million years I would do this, by the way. But yeah, this is my jam. I'm in this for the long haul. And so it's like right at, at this moment, it's a labor of love. It's time, and free time and, time to research and book interviews and all this stuff. And I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to share this message and make an impact. So thank you. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, it would mean the world to me again if you could subscribe, if you're digging the show, review it. Every time I get a review, it's like Christmas Day for me. It is so exciting. So rating the show, reviewing it on iTunes takes like 3 seconds. And if you want every day of my life to be like Christmas, and then share this show with people, your friends, have them review it, and let's get this show to more people. So today, I'm going to be talking about why you don't want to be happy, the difference between happiness and joy. So let's start with the very basic thing about the difference between happiness and joy. Happiness is external and joy is internal. It's unrealistic, and it's become like a normal thing in our society to always be happy. And I've shared like a ton of happiness captions and quotes on Pinterest and on Instagram. But I'm really like understanding the difference between happiness and joy. And I wanted to share this with you because we all need to understand this. It's this unrealistic expectation to be happy all the time, all this positivity. And again, let me just say there's nothing wrong with being an optimist. There's a lot of research about being an optimist, and it's really helpful and beneficial. I'm just like, I want to talk about specifically the terms happiness and joy. And I feel like this idea of external happiness is really pushed, and it seems kind of fake. And it's not about extinguishing other emotions and thoughts and feelings, because then we wouldn't be humans. We wouldn't experience everything that makes us human. I think when you what's it called, dismiss other feelings of like, for example, mad, like anger, sadness. When you dismiss that and you just tell someone to be happy, it's not really helpful. It's totally normal to experience these thoughts and emotions. I think it's really unrealistic to eradicate sadness in your life, or just understand, like, it's unrealistic to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to be happy all the time, and whenever I'm sad, I'll just tell myself to be happy, or whenever I'm mad, I'm just gonna be happy. And that's not really dealing with the issue. Like, I understand where people are coming from, because it's kind of tricky. We want to live a better life. We want to live a high quality life. We want to promote wellness and well-being and be optimistic. But being optimistic is choosing a positive outlook, understanding that there are stressful situations and events. It's not about masking emotions. So when we're talking about like just being happy all the time, you're hiding, or you're not allowing yourself to experience other emotions, and you're bottling up other emotions. Happiness is just a feeling. It's fleeting, just like sadness can be fleeting. Like any emotion, any feeling, they're fleeting. So when we force ourselves to be happy all the time, and again, talking from an external point of view, then that's fake. That's not long lasting. That's not realistic. So I'm going to talk about joy and happiness. So you can feel profound joy in your life and still have these normal emotions. Emotions and feelings are kind of like clouds. Like, they're just passing. Like, imagine that you're laying on grass and you're looking up at the sky and you see these clouds that are passing you by. And those are your thoughts and feelings. You're observing them. You can observe them for what they are. You can feel them. You can see them. But they're going to pass. So when that passes, when all these different things pass, all your tens and thousands of thoughts that pass throughout the day, what's left, right? So joy is deeper. It's a deeper concept, more internalized, and something that helps me to distinguish the two, happiness and joy. I think of happiness as pleasure and joy as satisfaction. So would you rather live in pleasure all the time, or would you rather be satisfied? Like, for example, like when you go on vacation, you're floating in the ocean, but you know that's not real life, like every day. And I'm deeply satisfied with the work I'm doing. Like, I'm deeply satisfied with podcasting and Joy Energy Time and everything in my life. I feel this joy and this satisfaction. Like, I know everything is aligning. But does that mean every part of the process is fun? No, not necessarily. There are bad moments and bad days. Like, the other day I was crying for no reason, and God bless my husband. Like, he was there for me and just let me cry it out. I had no reason, or no real reason to cry. It wasn't like a particular event that made me sad, but I just got sad. You know, I think it was because we're at the time we were packing up our house, moving, you know, just starting the whole travel therapy journey. And when I pack, I get emotional. So that led to my sudden burst of sadness that night. But I'm deeply satisfied with our life and our choices and where we're going and our future. But I felt sad, and I totally owned it. I totally just cried, and I laid in bed and we cuddled, and I wanted ice cream, but it was like too late and we don't have any ice cream. Actually, I like frozen yogurt. I wanted frozen yogurt. I wanted to go to Menchie's, but it was closed. And it was just one of those sad moments, and we kind of just laughed it off, you know? So when you think about like people that go on vacation, you're feeling a lot of pleasure, right? It's like, okay, you're eating a lot of yummy food, usually on vacation, you're lounging or whatever, you know, it's really pleasurable. Like it's okay to have a lot of pleasurable moments in our life. But if you could choose between feeling pleasure, which is more superficial, or deeply rooted satisfaction, what would you choose? Because I've seen people choose pleasure over a grounded, satisfying life. And these people are the people I see that don't do anything for 10 years. And they are exactly where they were when you left them 10 years ago. Like, I've seen that happen. There's other things that go into that, of course. But I think that's a big thing where people are seeking these short-term external pleasures and doing all this stuff that it's like, okay, what's your game plan for this life? Like, what are your goals? What's making you truly deeply satisfied? And what is your reason? So according to Danielle Laporte, she's an author. She's amazing. She's radical. I'm going to read a quote from Danielle Laporte's page, or one of her posts. Happiness is like rising bubbles, delightful and inevitably fleeting. Joy is the oxygen, ever present. Happiness is always passing through. It can claim your full attention for the 10 seconds it takes to swallow a sip of incredible coffee, or it can stream through your being for weeks on end. But happiness can't hold the same space as sadness or anger or the range of so-called negative emotions for very long. This is why it's transitory. Joy is the fiber of your soul. It's the stuff of your essence. And since your soul can never be annihilated, yes, I'm butchering that. Yes, that would make you eternal and omnipresent. Your access to joy never vanishes because joy is so foundational to your true being. Every other state or emotion can rest on top of joy. It can accommodate everything. So if you're new to Danielle Laporte, I would recommend you check her out. I've heard her on podcast interviews and I'm like, this woman's just badass. Like, she's just radical badass. So she's not afraid of exposing the real truth. She has a book. Oh my God, what's it called? Something Truth, the White Hot Truth. You know what? I'm going to look it up right now. Really quick, guys. Danielle Laporte. Her book is called White Hot Truth. Yes, I was right. Okay, I gotta read that now. But yeah, so I really resonate with that, and I hope you find something about that you can resonate with. And I see this all the time, and I've done it myself. I'm totally guilty of this, where I've told myself, I'll be happy when I achieve this goal. People tell themselves that all the time. I'll finally relax and enjoy myself when I lose the weight, when I get the promotion, when I make the money, when I get the car, when I have the kids, when I go on vacation. And then when you get to that destination and it's over, if you've been waiting to be happy for that external circumstance and that passes and that's over, then what happens, right? Because nothing is forever. And we really put ourselves in this vicious cycle. I used to always look forward to the weekends. And during the week when I was experiencing burnout, the week was hell, like pure dread. I totally soaked that in. Like, I not only was experiencing dread, but every thought like really clung on to that, and I really milked it. And that was my whole week. Actually, starting Sunday night to Friday afternoon, that was me. I was living in that misery. And I always searched for things, external things or circumstances to find happiness. Like, I'll be happy. I will allow myself happiness on the weekend because the week is so dreadful because I'm burnt out. And not only was I not doing anything active at the time to deal with it, my coping mechanisms were maladaptive because I wasn't searching for this inner joy. I was clinging on to an external joy, a happiness. So my life was like a roller coaster. I mean, how many of you, like, have you done that? Have you gone through that? I'm sure we all have. At some point, in one way or another, we hung our happiness on something and waited for that something to occur. So, what happens is that you end up disappointed. You end up disappointed, and then you continue looking for happiness in other things. I believe that once we recognize this, we can come out of it, come out of that trap, come out of that cycle, and get real with ourselves. So I'm going to share a few things that you can do to get real with yourself so that you can cultivate joy. I love that so much because cultivate is very active. It's a very proactive thing, and you can cultivate joy, inner joy, despite the stressful circumstances you're going through, despite the divorce, despite the burnout you're experiencing at work, despite cualquier cosa, whatever thing you're going through, despite that, you can cultivate inner deep joy and satisfaction. Again, this isn't about pretending to be happy when things are going not so well. It's about knowing that you are coming up with a game plan, that you're going to get out of whatever situation you're in, that it will pass. It's a part of your journey. It's a part of the things that make you who you are. And let whatever is going in your life be a valuable teacher. I've been through many hardships in my life, and it's so hard in the moment to be able to learn from it. But always, when you look back, I always think that experience was a valuable teacher. And it's just one little, stitch, little fiber of who I am. All those hardships that have left scars, emotional scars, mental scars. So, okay, let me just get into this before I go on some tangent. We're talking about how to cultivate joy. Okay, so few things. First one, keep a journal. And I'm very serious about this. This isn't like, oh, dear diary, I looked at Timmy today and Timmy looked back and we flirted and oh my God. I'm talking about not like a diary, but a journal where you can write down things you are grateful for. Write down affirmations, your goals, your dreams, your current state of feeling. Like, how do you feel? Like, I feel mad today because XYZ, right? Like, write down your intentions for the day. Write down your intentions for the week or for the year or for the half year. Write down your everything. Because the thing about journaling that I love so much is that you might be thinking, well, I think about what I'm grateful for, or I think about my goals, or I think about whatever it is. But when you write it down, when you put those thoughts onto paper in a journal, you start to have this dialogue with yourself and you start to problem solve. And this allows you to come to solutions that maybe you would have not come to if you just thought about things. I have written down, like, I journal most days of the week. I'm not perfect. There are some days where I don't do it, maybe on the weekends. Like, yeah, especially on the weekends when I wake up late and whatever. But like during the week, I'm very strict with my me time, my spiritual time, my meditation and my prayer and my journal time. So during the week, I don't have like a set structure. I journal whatever it is that I feel like. I'll journal. And sometimes I'll write my goals, and I've written my goals so many times, but just because you've written them down once doesn't mean you're not allowed to refine them or write them down again. So I've written down goals, my intentions, what I'm going to achieve in the next month, or I'll write down what I'm grateful for. I'll write down a statement like, I am strong, I am bold, I'm beautiful. And having a space where you write that, it's magical. Like, no one's going to read it. This is your journal. This is your space. And I have found a more joyful life through journaling. Journaling brings your thoughts to life. So that's one of the things I highly recommend. Number one, I think I have 5 things. Okay, so 5 things. So that was number 1. Keep a journal. Number 2, disconnect each day. So here's the funny thing about Instagram. I love Instagram. I have respect for Instagram. But they're just like everything, there's a downside. And the day that I was crying, I was so sad, I was packing. It was also a day where, like, I admit it, I was constantly checking Instagram. And I'm seeing people on boats, seeing people in Bora Bora. I'm seeing people with their cute little like outfits, eating pizza, like in Italy and on top of the Eiffel Tower. And people like, expectations now are really high. So for Instagram, it's like you gotta show off on Instagram. Like, you're wearing the cutest stuff. You have the best life. You're in the most beautiful place in the world. You're having the best time. And like, that was, I think, a part of why I was sad, because I'm comparing my life to other people's highlight reels. And that happens to the best of us, guys. Like, it gets the best of us. And the thing is that I recognized it. I recognize that, yeah, this could be making me sad, but it's so silly because I know better. I know people don't live like this, right? It's just people put their best out there. I put my best out there. And in this world of Instagram, it's a beautiful world, but it's also it's crazy. It's just like all this negativity at the same time, this comparison game, body shaming, like, it does have its downside, and hopefully that can get better and we can be the change. And I do see change. I see a lot of change in the right direction, but I also see, I see these unrealistic pictures of like people like on a hot air balloon with a picnic. And I'm like, man, and here I am sitting on my couch. Like, no matter who you are, we fall into this comparison trap. I'm sure Oprah has compared herself to people. I mean, she's Oprah. She's amazing, but I'm sure she has, right? And here we are thinking, oh, but they have the perfect life. So disconnect a little bit each day. Like, I make it a purpose. I make it a purposeful intention that I leave my phone in another room sometimes. Whenever I take walks with my husband, I leave my phone behind, because when you have your phone in the same room, you're going to be more tempted to check it. So leaving your phone in another room, putting your phone away, like hiding it in a drawer, like just get it out for a little bit. Breathe. We are connected at the hips with our phones. So disconnect, because when you get into that comparison game, then you fall into that happiness trap and you feel like you're not happy because you're not sitting on top of the Eiffel Tower with rosé or whatever. Like, just get real with yourself. Recognize that you have so much to be grateful in your life, which you can journal about while you disconnect, and you're welcome. Okay. So number 3 is cultivate an internal locus of control. So what that means, there's basically 2 types of people. I mean, there's people that fall in the middle, and there's, of course, times when we're a little bit of both. But if you're a person with internal locus of control, that means that you believe that you have control over your circumstances and how you respond to it. People that have external locus of control kind of they put the blame on their circumstances. They are victims. They believe in luck and fate, and they're not in control of anything. So in my continuing education course, I talk about, how internal locus of control. There are studies and there's evidence suggesting that people with internal locus of control have less stress because they have active coping mechanisms versus the people that are falling victim to everything and they believe that they can't control anything. So a lot of positive evidence and research around having this internal locus of control and understanding what you can and can't control. So if you're into that, you can research that locus of control and learn more about that. But knowing that you are the reason why you feel this way. Sometimes, have you ever said, this person made me feel this way? No, they did not make you feel that way. You allowed them. You allowed them to create this emotion that you are feeling. That is internal locus of control. So boom, mic drop. So if you're interested, research that a little bit more. Number 4, help others or help the environment. Giving back, giving to people that you're not going to get anything from them in return, like giving, volunteering, helping out with people or the environment, or getting involved in some act, a charity or organization. People that do that, it's very selfless, right? So you're likely to experience that inner joy. It's like you're experiencing firsthand those values that we have in life, that most of us have in life, values of integrity, of being a good person. Like when you help others, when you donate, like whatever it is, there's a million ways to be a helpful person, right? It doesn't have to be this big month-long like volunteer work in Bali. Although that's awesome, you can also help people in smaller ways. And helping people is medicine for your soul. It makes you feel good knowing that you help someone. You're not going to get anything in return other than that feeling of feeling accomplished and fulfilled. And that's what doing this podcast, like having this podcast, makes me feel aligned with my values of helping people in this way. So help others. I'm a big environmental person. When I was like 12 years old, I made my parents donate to the World Wildlife. There's too many W's. Hold on. I'm going to look it up again. The World Wild. Oh my God. I can't say it. Let me take a deep breath. Worldwide Fund for Nature. I forgot like what the WWF stood for, but yeah, I made my parents donate to that. Like whatever cause you believe in, get active and get passionate and give back, whether it's time or money. Like I've donated a lot online to organizations I believe in. So I feel like that's a true recipe for joy. It's that selflessness. People that are seeking pleasure in the name of selfishness are actually people that aren't experiencing true joy. And there's evidence about that. I mean, these are just things that, like, my course goes into all of that, my continuing education course in terms of how to beat burnout, and that's just one piece of it. The optimism and coping and internal locus of control, all that stuff. So I have all these little fun facts on top of my head, like research shows that optimists are actually happier and they're not unrealistic. So, all these little fun facts in my head. All right. One more, and I'm going to summarize, and then we're good to go. Then you can go out there and cultivate some joy. So last one is find people who bring out the best in you. It's difficult. It's more difficult, not that it's impossible, but if you're around people, like there is that phrase that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if these people are not bringing out the best of you, then it's time you find other people. And it's difficult because sometimes you can't cut people out of your life. But what if you could reduce the amount of time you spent with them and find people that do bring out the best in you? What's really scary about adulthood is you have frenemies, and that shit's scary, right? And the scary thing is you're questioning, is this a frenemy? Is this someone that's really happy for me? Is this someone that is clapping for me? If you have to question that, then they're probably a frenemy. Maybe you're overthinking it. But if you thought that, there's got to be something there that caused you to feel that way. I believe. I mean, so find people who bring out the best in you. And when someone's truly happy for you. You can feel when someone is backhanded complimenting you, or if they're truly complimenting you, like it. And the thing about adulthood is like, okay, I'm starting to realize ain't nobody got time for frenemies. Let go of that. Find people that get you, and then you get them, and you support them just the way that they support you, So I think when you surround yourself with people that bring out the best in you, you bring out the best in them, then it's this spiraling upward effect. And social relationships, that social belonging is key to human survival. We are very social. So it only makes sense that you want to be around people that get you and that bring out the best in you. So 5 things to cultivate joy. Keep a journal. Disconnect every day. Cultivate your internal locus of control. Help others or help the environment. Or find a cause that you're interested in helping with. And find people that bring the best in you. So if this was a podcast about happiness, I would say, okay, let's go to brunch. Let's travel. Let's go shopping. Not that these things can't, of course, these things are happy. They're happiness things. They bring this happiness. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that you can't find pleasure in life or find happiness on an external level. What I'm saying is that if you want a truly satisfying life, find the joy, cultivate the joy, understand the difference, understand what happiness can't bring you that joy can, and live your life from there. All right? You get me? Okay, good. I'm so happy you listened. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, review, share this episode on your Instagram, DM me, let me know you're listening. I really appreciate you. Mwah. Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening. Like what you're hearing? Subscribe to our podcast, rate, and write a review on iTunes. It would mean the world to us. We come out with new and exciting content each week that will help you slay your burnout beast. So share the show with your friends and your coworkers so we can build a better healthcare industry together. Thanks again.